Buying a property is extremely complex, even if you're someone who has purchased one before. There are lots of steps involved, all the way through from making the decision to actually buy, all the way up to receiving the keys to that property. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reese. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about and breaking down the home loan process and the overall steps that you should be following throughout. Just before I get into it, I'm going to use the term online resources throughout this video. And when I say online resources, I'm either referring to links that I have provided in the description below, or websites such as banks or real estate websites that give you a resource to go and do steps that I discussed throughout the video. So you've made the decision to go out into the big world and buy a property or a house. Fantastic, great, amazing. No getting around it. It is a fantastic thing to do. It could be a goal that you're trying to achieve or just something to have a roof over your head. It's awesome. Good on you. But this is the type of commitment that generally lasts people a few decades. So having an understanding of all of the steps involved is only going to put you in a better position in the long run, most likely financially, but also up here as well, keeping you sane because it is so complex. So hopefully in this video, I provide you with some clarity as to the steps involved and some online resources which you can then go out and increase and further your knowledge about the topic. Some of what I discuss may be very basic in nature, but regardless, it is the steps involved, so I'm going to break it down. Let's get into it. Step number one is planning your purchase. And whilst planning your purchase, this is going to most likely take place whilst you're saving your deposit. Rule of thumb, 20% is the number you want to save for that deposit. The very first thing you're going to be doing in this step is using online resources such as my channel and the content that I create to find ways to implement and build habits for your ability to save a deposit. Saving money is something that lots of people struggle to do, and regardless of if you're a good saver or not, there is always a better way to improve it for the most part. This habit of building savings is going to be crucial and important in your ability to continue making payments once you've purchased the house, because you're going to have to continually make those payments or repayments as they're better known until you eventually do pay it off, which could take, as I said, decades. It's also going to be a very useful habit for building a safety net, which again could be applied to the home loan where you save up a portion of money, pay it off, or you have that money there as security for an emergency or a rainy day. From here, I would be using online resources like bank websites to essentially determine how much you're going to be able to borrow. There are lots of online calculators and tools which will give you an approximation of how much you're going to be able to borrow based on your income, your spending habits, how much money you have access to for your deposit, all of the relevant questions that they need to ask you. You're going to be able to get a good estimate for your planning phase, because then with that information, you can start looking at properties in that price range. As you get closer to the point of being able to put in an offer for a property, you're going to start thinking about going to a bank to get what's called a conditional pre-approval. You're not quite at the step where you need one yet, but just understanding what a conditional pre-approval is important. Applying for a conditional pre-approval is extremely important when actually making offers, because it will give you the best estimate from a lender that they will lend you the money you require to purchase that house. They will give you a top dollar. This is as much as they're going to give you, and that will give you your let's call it tunnel vision that you can focus in on and say, I can buy a property for this much money because that's as much as the lender's going to give me. So conditional pre-approvals give you an approximation of the amount of money that the lender will give you when you're starting to put offers in to buy a property. And finally, step one, you should be using online resources again to get the full understanding of all of the expenses that are going to come your way. Things like your repayments, what your deposit's going to be, stamp duty, LMI, do you need a guarantor, your real estate agent fees, your conveyancing fees, all of that can be estimated and approximated just by using online resources such as a real estate website. It generally has a super useful calculator. I'll leave a link in the description below to just one, just as an example, but definitely use these tools to get an understanding of how much you're going to be out of pocket up front, as well as what the ongoing repayments are going to be. So with this being the conclusion of step one, you should now have all of the steps you really need to get a proper planning phase into action and something that can absolutely be done while saving for a deposit. Step 2 is where things get a little bit more serious, and this is where you've actually saved up a deposit now. Great job. You've got an understanding of what your budget is and what the categories of homes that you actually can go out and buy are, and what your average or estimated repayments are going to be, so you can plan to be able to service that loan once you take on a mortgage. If you haven't started yet, this would be the perfect time to start attending house inspections and house auctions to get a feel of the community, what it's like, to get understanding of the style of home that you're looking at, to see how auctions play out, how people bid, how they don't bid, how offers are put in, just to get the actual understanding, to get the feel of what you're actually looking at, so that when the real deal comes, you're prepared. The best example is going to house inspections and actually conducting an inspection, getting your check sheet, getting your checklist. I've made a video on this one as well. I've made a video to a lot of things. Make sure you check the description below. Absolutely practice, because you will pick up on things and you will see things reoccurring that you definitely will want to find in the house that you are actually going to purchase, or the property that you're actually going to purchase. I can't stress that one enough. Practice will give you nothing but an edge, because it will prepare you in the long run. At this point as well, you will probably now be very close, or if not in the position, to actually start making offers on properties. So now would be the right time to go and get a pre-approval from a bank. Like I said, they last between 3 and 6 months is the average. Therefore, you have a window and you're actually ready to make a purchase. Therefore, it makes sense for you to go and get that pre-approval. That being said, if the right property comes along, you want to be prepared to be able to make an offer and have confidence that you're going to be able to borrow the money you need to buy that house. Make sure that you do your research to find a competitive bank or lender, because all of them offer different products and services, but they're very much the same and they're all competing against each other. So don't necessarily go and get a pre-approval from 5 different banks. You have access to all of the information you need on their websites by being able to call them, or actually going into a branch, for example. You make sure that you ask all the relevant questions, you have an understanding of what types of loans they offer, and basically work out which one's going to be the best one for you, so that when you go in to get a pre-approval, you're going to the lender or the bank that's going to be offering you the best deal for your financial needs. So now you're at step 3, where you should be in the position to make offers on properties comfortably. You should be able to attend auctions and bid comfortably, and you should ultimately be ready to take on a mortgage based on the work that you've done in the previous steps. Once your offer is accepted, or your bid has won at auction, congratulations, you have now purchased a home, technically, or a property, technically. From here, you will need to decide on the actual type of loan that you want to take out, because the pre-approval only says this is how much we're going to lend you. It doesn't lock anything in. It's just here's how much we're going to lend you. So therefore, there are 2 types of loans that are generally offered. There are many, but the 2 common ones are variable and fixed. And the difference between the 2 is one's interest rate changes with how the economy is performing and how banks change their interest rates. And the other means it's a locked in interest rate for a period of time. They both have their pros, they both have their cons. Ultimately, do your research, find the one that works best for your financial position, because at the end of the day, everyone's different and your situation will be different to mine. But just know that they're both interchangeable. You can change them depending on what you choose, and they're nothing too scary. The information is out there to definitely learn about them and understand them. Do your research. Personally, I have a variable loan. I don't have any other assets that I need to be worrying about at the moment. That's my main driver, or my main debt that I need to pay down. So therefore, variable is the thing that I'm comfortable with. And with the state of the economy at the moment, I'm not too concerned about interest rates. They are the lowest they have ever been. So it's quite easy to service the loan in terms of paying the bank interest. Think about it, do your research. Just because I've done it, don't copy me. Hopefully that clarifies that a little bit better. So once your offer has been accepted, this is the point where you will now have to tell your lender, because they are essentially going to walk through the rest of the steps with you and your real estate agent to make sure that all of the documentation between the triangle of you 3 people, the real estate agent, you and the banker, get done properly. Now your banker or your lender will definitely walk you through all of these steps, but just as a high level overview, these steps include things like signing a contract of sale, setting your settlement terms, paying your deposit, dealing with other required documentation, and setting the time frame of settlement. So generally, you will get your keys when you set your settlement time frame, whether it be 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days are the 3 most common periods. And generally, like I said, all of that will be walked through with you. Just expect that that is a step that you're going to have to go through. Nothing too overwhelming. It's a lot of signing documents and reading documents, but everything is pretty straightforward. Once you've actually got the keys to the property and you own it, there's still plenty of stuff that has to go on in the background to make sure things run smoothly and nothing really goes wrong. And just leading out of it now, just as an overview, these are things like monitoring your home loan, monitoring your interest rate. It's always good to call your lender. I call mine every 3 months and I try to ask them, I say, hey, is there any way I can get that interest rate lowered or reduced? And I say I've got competitive offers from other banks and things like that. And at times they've reduced it. I've almost wiped off a whole percentage off of my current interest rate, a whole percentage gone. And that's going to result in me saving tens of thousands of dollars over the course of the life of the loan. That's a lot of money, and all it takes me is about 15 minutes on the phone once every 3 months. You've got nothing to lose. It's called actively managing your loan, for example. It's effortless. I encourage you to do it. Buying a property is an exciting thing to do. It takes discipline and hard work to achieve, and even more hard work and discipline to maintain. But in my opinion, the effort that goes into it is totally worth the outcome. The end result is awesome. I'm very happy with the process that I've gone through, the things I've learned. I can't stress it enough that it's totally worth it, in my opinion. I want to reiterate that I have left links in the description below to all of the lower level topics that I may have talked about in this video. Definitely check out my channel for anything relevant to home ownership, because the purpose of this video and the purpose of the links that I've provided is to provide a resource to you to hopefully break something down that may be complex or you may not understand fully in a way that is easy to digest. So like I said, check them out if you want to. Overall, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope that it was insightful. If you did enjoy it, please consider liking and subscribing. And as always, I will see you in the next one.